Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about a woman named LaDonna. She is a friend of a woman who calls herself Diva. She tells many people she's Diva Mom, and people just call her Diva. Okay, and she is a diva. And Diva is a very manipulative woman, and her behaviors are rather narcissistic, histrionic blend of behaviors. And but LaDonna has been her friend since since school days. They were friends growing up, and at one point LaDonna had to leave her abusive husband, and she went into the shelters there in the county they lived in, and when she did, she warned Diva that her husband may try to find, her through Diva. Now, Diva is a sophisticated kind of woman. She feels that she is, and, she pretty much understood. She told her friends in the neighborhood, some male friends, what, could happen, and they know him, and, or at least have heard of him, and, well, sure enough, LaDonna's husband went there to try to find, his wife. Try to find LaDonna. And Diva had a huge neighbor that when she had told about this situation, and he came to Diva's house and rescued her, basically, from LaDonna's husband. And after that, basically they didn't hear from him. Nobody had heard from him again, not even LaDonna in any way. Nobody knows, he just kind of like disappeared. Okay, just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. Maybe, once he saw Diva's next door neighbor, changed his mind, something. So nobody knew. Okay. Now a younger woman named Chelsea, she runs the shelter. She basically runs it, and even though she had started there to do some graduate work, at university, so she could earn her PhD, and this was I guess you could say it was for her dissertation and all. But when the county began to lock down in early 2020 because there's so many troubles that were going on there, Chelsea, decided that she would go ahead and stay, but the person that usually ran it left, and so Chelsea runs it, and she has some crew, employees, staff, so she stayed there to run it. And some of the things, like I said, she was doing it for her university, but the university closed down too during all this. Most people did stuff from home, so Chelsea just was doing her work. She used those for classes. And anyway, so Chelsea, of course, even so, she would have been asking, people questions about why they're there, or just variety, and people just talk about what's going on in their life. And LaDonna is one that did, and she would say things that Chelsea had noticed over time. Seemed pretty common for women to say, like, she was one to say, that, let me see, I wrote notes here. She made comments about, any man who hit a woman, or any, something like this was this way and that way. And, but she said that LaDonna said she doesn't know why, but she loved him. She still loves him. And she loved him, and she still loves him. But she knows she can't be with him. And, she made the comment that he wasn't the man that she married anymore. Sounds typical, doesn't it? And he told her things like he has no right to smart mouth him. Okay, who says that to their spouse? That she said that he says, I'm supposed to be submissive to him at all times. And she also, doesn't this sound familiar? She said, it's the guys at his job that are teaching him this stuff. She's not willing to accept that he fooled her. You know, we don't want to accept it being, you know, it's on us. You know, people who are go through narcissistic abuse, or they call it narcissistic abuse these days. But any form of abuse, I'm not that kind of a victim myself, but I am of, you know, people who are abusive. I'm a survivor. Okay. Anyway, you know, it's hard for them. It's hard for some. If it's a spouse, it's hard, even tougher, in my view, for them to, my voice is going out, sorry, but for them to admit that it's on them. It was that they were lying, they were manipulating, they were showing one side of themselves, and they could go for many years. And then suddenly, you know, when whatever it is, where they no longer need it or whatever, they show their true colors. And that's what her husband did, LaDonna's husband did. And like I said, sorry about my voice going in and out today. It's been doing it for days. But anyway, like I said, he actually told her she is supposed to be submissive to him and not smart mouth him. Now, I have seen some kind of, you know, some people say that to their children, don't smart mouth me, but to say that to your spouse, really? Okay, and also she was not allowed to complain about anything anymore. And instead, she was told, instead, you must be grateful for all that he does for her. You know, he told her, you got to be grateful for all that I do for you. And that included anything, like him telling her, don't smart mouth me, don't you be submissive to me, and what I say goes. He had that whole mentality. What do you think that does to a person's psyche, you know, a person's, to be told this as a grown adult, you know? Yeah. Let's see. I'm serious, my voice is going, I'm trying to read some notes I had written. And also, she couldn't do anything unless he had given her permission to do that. He had become this type. You know, it wasn't, of course, that he had become this type. It was that he had been hiding his views before then. But he also, let me see. Okay, and he said that you can complain about certain people. And that is people she knows. Okay, she can complain about that. But she can't complain about anything else. And anyway, like I said, my voice is going out. And I'm reading my notes. Let's see. Let me see what else. Okay, so maybe I can, hopefully, my voice is probably going to go out again. But maybe, not maybe, but some of the things that happened that LaDonna said again about to Chelsea, told her, and she said it as though like her husband suddenly changed and all, and that he had started looking at things from a different perspective. He wasn't like he used to be. He used to be very logical and very, you know, much on the same side of things as she. How many of us have heard this before? You know, that people, you know, it's called, some people, well, I don't want to say the name of it because the AI might not like it, but they basically put their best foot forward. They will act as though that they, you know, they're really into the same kind of things as the person they're trying to basically draw in and manipulate. And that's how they do it. They will say everything that they like, oh, I like it. And they'll act that way. And they, like I said, they can do it for years, in many years. And then suddenly their true colors come out, like I said earlier. And that's what happened here. He never really was on the side of things that she was on, that Donna was on. He just pretended to be. Okay? Until he used her up for all that, whatever he wanted. And, you know, he would go from, you know, he turned everything topsy-turvy, everything, you know, becoming this kind of man who's, you know, believes he, you know, dominates. He has all the power and control, and even his political views. She felt he suddenly changed. And she blamed it on the guys that he worked with. Okay, like I said earlier, he blamed it on LaDonna blamed it on the guys he worked with. Yeah. And it was always, he'd come home from work with saying a bunch of BS that it was obvious he could not connect the dots to things any longer. And she wondered, what happened? Was he hit on the head or something at work? Also, she didn't want to see that this was truly him. She just, she tried everything, asking him to go seek counseling, go have his head examined. Sometimes we say, go have your head examined. She meant it literally, go do that. And, but he had become just very domineering, all that. So, anyway, so LaDonna was in the, the shelter, and she said all these things, but she also knew that her friend, Diva, was having some kind of trouble with her husband. Now, LaDonna never quite understood the relationship between Diva and her husband, because her husband was hardly ever there. And he is the father of their son, who's like 32 years old. And he was hardly ever there around at all, while the child was growing up, ever, really. He just wasn't there. And he would come in every blue moon and, come into town acting like he was hot shot. He was a lawyer. He is a lawyer. And, but Diva's been having trouble because suddenly he disappeared. She can't reach him. She can't get in touch with him in any way, shape, form, or fashion. He's just gone. And so Diva and LaDonna wants to get out of there. Nobody has seen her husband for a while, heard about anything. He's not there at their house, and all that. And LaDonna wants to move out of the shelter and back into her home. And but there's a question if they should. And plus, there's another woman that's there, and her name is Eva. Some call it Ava. And she wants to move back to her home too. So they're starting to talk, all three of these women. So anyway, stay tuned to find out what happens next. And read the disclaimers in the description box below this video on YouTube. Since my voice is going out, I know it's all messed up, but I'm going to cut it short. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.